Good evening. Hi, Marek.
Good evening. How are you today?
Good to see you. Fine, fine. You?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, man.
That's
Yeah,
great.
it's a
Great.
long day. It's a long day, but I'm super stoked to start this conversation with you. I hope you'll teach me something.
That is awesome. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah,
Thanks, Marek, for joining today. Great topic today, I believe. But before we go there, welcome to all our joiners, listeners, guests. Welcome to the New Ways of Working live. This live is happening every second Wednesday, 8 p.m. CET, so Central European Time. So on a bi-weekly basis, we're trying to tackle various topics related to the leadership, business, and enabling technology. And today, I would say the topic is quite broad. Namely, we want to answer the question actually, how we can create a culture of continuous improvement. And Marek, let me go directly to this topic.
yeah.
Because I take you as a very thoughtful leader, I have to admit. You're a practicing leader, years of experience in operations, right? You're managing teams, you're managing services and the business. And when I think about it, I mean, inevitably, part of this is improvement, continuous improvement, even I would say, right? And then let me ask you, kind of in a challenging mode, a challenging spirit, the question: do you really believe that the organizations around us have problems with improvements and continuous improvements? And if this is the case, why do you think it is so?
Well, all right. How do we start? Yeah, for some reason, for years now, everybody's thinking, okay, well, the budget is too tight, and my team is too small, and there is no help coming from up. There's no help coming from bottom. So how am I to meet my KPIs, right? And
Mhm.
you start inventing, and you start looking for ways to maybe squeeze out those last droplets of lemon juice out of the lemon. Let me counter this with another question, because what I just said is, I mean, it's the um, obvious answer, right? Because we are living in a world where we're lacking resources, when there's not enough resources to cover all our needs. So we need to find and optimize.
Right.
But and I'm not sure if it's a topic for discussion, but this is something that I'm thinking about a lot recently. Do we
Okay.
really need a change? Do we really need to change, and to have a change by all means possible? Um, haven't we created a culture where a change is so required of us that we blindly follow this trend? I mean, I know this goes against grain, but I think as a leader, you really need to be mindful of this. Are you really implementing changes because this is something appropriate of a leader, or are you implementing a change that is really needed, and something that will benefit your team, and something that will benefit your business and the bottom line? Listen, I really am of this continuous improvement or change mindset, but this is something I started asking myself: am I doing it for the fun of it, or is it something beneficial? What do you think?
Yeah, that is something interesting you started with.
Yeah.
And I have an opinion here.
Uh,
Obviously, when we talk about the necessity of improvement, right, it needs to be there. So if we just try to improve because other companies do it, or our boss say like, yeah, this lean thing, yeah, just do it there, and then on the presentation we show we do lean or we do something. It doesn't make sense, obviously, and it will not be successful.
Mm.
But if we make improvements because we have bottlenecks in the processes or in our environment, and we address those because first we identify them, then we might use, for instance, the Deming cycle with the PDCA. So and we identify those, we understand how it should be, and we address the gap, then it makes sense. So then we are addressing something which we believe will improve our way of working, our workplace, our service, right? But if we're saying let's do improvement for the sake of doing improvement, this is against the rules, because then even by lean is named a waste,
Sure.
right? So I fully agree with you
Yeah.
here, but you came more into this philosophical mode, I would say now.
Right. No, but I have a follow-up question, really,
Okay.
and I really want to dig from your experience here. Are you considering a cost of a change, or on a human level, or not just a cost of implementing a new functionality or whatever you want to change, but the broader aspect of this change? I don't want to mean this as a loaded question. Like I said, I am all into a change and improvement, but do you consider it?
I would say absolutely yes. This is
Yeah.
part of the change, and the change process. If you say so, if it's a big change, is like you need to tackle it with the change management approach. So, and the people is a vital part, if not the primary part of the change, because you can change process, you can improve it or whatever, and then send email. But anyway, no one understands what is happening, and the change, meaning improvement, is a process. So by definition, every leader should firstly consider what it means for people, what are the costs also related to people, and whatever that is. If we're talking about leading the organization, or we're talking about additional trainings for people and educating, this all needs to be taken into consideration. Absolutely, no doubt. But just to turn a bit around our discussion, so if I think about the topic we're bringing today, it might be actually a bit overwhelming, because we bring together three big buzzwords.
Yeah.
We say, let's talk about improvement. So improvement itself is like, okay, so I need to firstly understand that I need to improve, what I need to improve. So that's what we just said. I need to understand what needs to be improved. So first I need to measure this, and then understand how the good looks like, and then address the gap in very simple words. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, experiment, test, see again, and then continue. One part. But then we say, okay, it's improvement. Then we want to make it continuous. And it's even more now. Okay, so how do I do it continuous? Not just one time ad hoc improvement, because yeah, I have this idea and we improve this and
Right.
it's perfect. And
Well,
then
I mean,
we get the third one, culture, and we have three buzzwords which we bring
oh
together
yeah.
today. And this is becoming a big thing now, right? So at the end, it might be, when I consider it from this perspective, quite overwhelming for the organizations and the leaders. What is actually expected from me here, right? If we're talking these big words, CEO comes and now saying, from now on, we will create a culture of continuous improvement.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
and you are like, okay, tell me more about it. So my question would be then, okay, if we want to bring improvement to the organization and make it continuous, so how do we really start with this? What needs to happen in the organization? How this needs to start, that we start with those improvements? But what's your opinion about where is the starting point?
Where's the starting point? Yeah, that's a great question. I gave it some thought. I experimented a little, and I failed a lot.
That's about it.
That's about it. No. But you know what? It taught me something, because being young and ambitious some years back, I thought I could be an agent of change and enforce it on others, because my change is so amazing, and it will make everything better because it will drive the budget down. It will have some. It will generate some savings. It will decrease the effort needed to achieve this goal. It will bring down the claims of the service. So all the benefits, and no one could see it but me, right? And then I forced this change to come to fruition. So I did this change. I forced it upon my team. I forced it upon the service. And guess what? It failed, right? It always fails if you do it like this. Um, I mean,
Okay.
doesn't it? Have you ever forced a change that was successful?
I forced the change.
Mm.
Dot.
All right.
No, no success.
So,
No
and
success.
you're not measuring the results, which means you are in the gray area. So yeah, you might say it did not fail.
But you see,
Okay, so you're in a much better position than I was, because I measured and it failed miserably.
Marek, before you go forward with
Yeah,
this, we coming from IT, right? We
yeah,
don't want to make IT life here around what's there, but if we look at our field, right, we have plenty of various methodologies, frameworks, and approaches. Just to name a couple of them, we have this ITIL, which is IT Infrastructure Library, so best practices for managing and leading IT services. Within
mm,
this, we have a continual service improvement process with 7 steps, so we know how to do it. We have Kaizen with 6 steps. We have Lean to eliminate Muda Muramuri from the processes. We have the PDCA, so Plan, Do, Check, Act of Deming, and all of this is
yeah.
based on it. So the question is, we have all of this. We know it. We know how to do what to do. So where is the problem?
This is what I was getting at, and this is why I so strongly said that I wanted to enforce something on my
Right.
organization. It doesn't start with a leader, really. Maybe a leader has a role to facilitate. Maybe a leader has a role to eliminate the obstacles in the path. But in the end, unless you want to do everything in your organization, it's not you delivering the goods, it's your team delivering the goods, and they need to be convinced of this, right? You don't need to convince higher management. You especially don't need to convince all the ITIL or Lean or Kaizen experts on how to that the improvement is beneficial. One real stakeholder that you have is your team, and you need to find a way to convince them to that it works, or that it will bring a benefit eventually. Okay,
So
this this would be.
tell me a bit more about convincing the team.
Oh, sure. Um, See, I really love people, and I love observing them, and I really want to know what makes people tick, what gets them out of bed. And for you, that's accomplishment. You need to be excellent at what you do, right? I know
Mhm.
people who, yeah, they will do their job, but they're most satisfied when they can stay in bed and do their absolute minimum to deliver the results. And I'm amazed that they do it, and they can do it with huge success.
The laying in
So
bed,
yeah.
the laying in bed with
Oh
an
yeah.
effort.
Yeah. And still they can be super successful in their job.
Right.
Mind blown. But hey, it happens. Everyone has their own thing.
Right.
So the real trick is, so how do you? Everyone wants to succeed in a way.
Mm.
So, and that's a broader, let's say, leadership idea. How do you tap into this need to succeed? How do you tap into this need to be successful, to achieve something in life? Um, Or, yeah, because I just thought of this. Listen, I know people who achieved everything that they needed and they just want to be left alone. All right. But maybe you need those people to also be agents of a change that you want to introduce. And you need to be super respectful of that. So, hey, everyone has their own trigger, and you need to go person by person and talk and talk and talk and literally talk them into it and present the change in a way that they will find beneficial for themselves, no one else. Not, oh, this little thing will be so beneficial for the organization and will uh, get our revenue by X%. No one is
Right.
buying into this unless maybe they'll see some of this revenue in their own pockets. But all right, I would be skeptical of the financial motivation. Financial motivation doesn't work very, very well in a highly skilled professional world. There are other aspects that are more motivational than money, and you need to find them. I know that you and maybe listeners would like to have a golden tool to extract the motivation out of everybody. No, it does not exist. It takes effort.
But
It takes time.
okay, yeah. Obviously, there is no a silver bullet, and we don't have this motivation thing that the
Yeah.
recipe that you can just prescribe. Like you don't have the one to win lotto, but um, I still think, and again, that we can influence this, and we can influence this heavily. What I see, well, maybe
Yeah.
I can take it from the um, mistakes area
Mm.
that I've seen happening, or I did myself as well. I participated in being part of the problem, and I was causing the problem being a mistake in this
What do you
configuration
mean?
that everyone else is, which was actually quite opposite. So this idea of how it happens, and I've seen this, is that either CEO, if it's a smaller company or even can be a big company, or a direct leader of the team goes for the course
Oh yeah.
workshops and learns about this fancy thing which gives result. Let's take lean as an example. This is not the only way and thing. Oh, my camera just got something foggy. Okay. And let's take lean, for instance. So the person goes for the lean training. The next day comes to the office. Hey guys, I have this great stuff. So how about we try lean? And I have this idea and we'll do it this way. So I show you how to do it. And what happens is that the show is done. Why? Because firstly, we attack people with something they don't understand.
Mm.
Lean, like it's already a buzzword. They're scared already about it. The leader actually tries to prove his points and deliver his stuff, right? People are not engaged and question if they will be in this constellation, right? And what we end up is some kind of a program, even if it happens, or a project which is led by this person without engagement, which by definition, without engagement, as you just said, no success is possible.
Right.
So instead, as a hint, which I would give, and now I'm much smarter than I was in the past, making such mistake actually, also in one of my previous, as one of my first leadership roles. What I would do instead now, and what we're doing and practicing now is um, send the people for the workshop
Mm.
and then challenge this. Okay guys, you went to this great workshop. What did you learn? How we can benefit from this? How we can help with your workplace and your service using this what you just learned there, and have just a supportive function, a leader. Because if not, what will happen will be that you can either be a leader with ego. That's great talk itself, ego's topic. With the supportive team, or the team which actually might be even not that much supporting from the perspective of the leader, or we might have a team performing improvements initiatives with the support of the leader. So from my perspective, it's a leadership task to settle the conditions and making this all work for the team to become kind of okay we should be doing improvements because this is for ourselves. This will help me. I will do, I don't know, book less invoices. We need to do less manual work or whatever. Let's do these improvements because I see benefits because of my work or some other benefits, as you said, from the employee benefits perspective.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, and you touch upon this subject from a different perspective. But you cannot have one without the other, and
Yeah,
vice versa. Because on one hand, maybe you need engagement, but also the knowledge of the knowledge of those concepts, and how do you do right? What if, because if you only take my side, then you might have an engagement, right? Let's do something, but
yeah,
what the hell am I going to do? And taking your perspective into this, yeah, right. So this is the tooling that you will use to improve what is beneficial for you, or create more benefits, create more benefit to you, to yourself, to maybe your team, if a person is
right.
loyal towards the team. Yeah, you are spot on this. Yeah.
I have a second hint here, namely the whole lean concept, as an example, or any other improvement method, if you look into, is actually not around the process and the methods and tools, is rather about the mindset and the way we take it, right? So it's all about the people. Is
Mhm.
this, from your perspective, correct what I'm saying? Do you agree with this from the experience perspective?
I mean, yes. I mean, until the robots take over, it will be about the people. And what are you laughing at? It's not funny, but it is, and it starts and ends with people, because the people will consume our service or goods, and the people will manufacture it to some degree, and people will develop whatever we want to sell. So yes, it is about the people, and you need to look at it through the context of their behaviors and their thoughts, and you need to train them, and you need to train them to recognize. If you talk about lean, you need to train to recognize the waste that they are seeing, and you need to train them to recognize it. You need to assure them that if they raise a hand and critique what has been built before, it's okay to critique it if you have a good idea to support it, to replace it. So that's the second thing. Third thing is, you need to give them space to develop their ideas, right? Think of a team, first line support, for example, first line service desk. Those guys do not have time to look into potential improvements if their workload is set up right, let's say. So you
Yeah.
need to take away from their workload. They need to drop what they're doing. They need to get to a vantage point. They need to take a step back and breathe and see, all right, this part of the process doesn't make sense, right?
And then here we come into the very valid point with this statement, because I don't want to really go into this lean, but we're using now lean as an example. Let's do it for the last time, maybe,
Sure.
because improvement are not only about lean. If you look into what is said there, is not only that it's a human business improvements, but also that the all employees, including the leaders, have two roles: performing operations, delivering what is expected from them, but
Mhm.
also continuously improving the workplace, environment, service, or whatever they deal with. And in lean, it's combined. So it's not like you work and maybe sometimes you do improvements. No. The leader needs to take care. That's exactly what you're saying, to have space, time, namely time, and create environment to challenge processes and to actually have time to look into those and trying to identify what
For
goes
sure.
wrong or bad. So it's actually, if we follow what's already given, we'll be there, right? Always.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the point I wanted to make. It's
Yeah.
all very pretty when you say it, but see, right now I'm contradicting myself, because it's not just the team that's delivering the change.
Right.
but it's also the environment that needs to be created for the change to flourish, meaning that they need to, yes, they will deliver, they as in a team, as in individuals, subject matter experts, whatever you want to call them, they will
Right.
deliver the change that the organization needs, but it's the leader's role to create this environment. I would speculate that in general, traditional organizations would degenerate into pushing and pushing and pushing and narrowing this window for facilitating change. Because if you can push people to do more in the same budget, in the same time constraints, well, you get a better benefit. But it's a very short-term thinking and very short-sighted vision, because you might get more milk out of this cow. Sorry to say it, but I mean, what will happen if the cow just simply quits and goes to another farmer, right? Because this will happen eventually, right? So yeah, I mean, I started this discussion with this strong idea. All right, it's about the people; they need to deliver. But no, it's my bloody job to allow them to get the best out of them, best out of whatever they're doing. So yes, thank you, Bart. I need to take a note of this. No, really, really, because
But
it kind of I adjusted my perspective a little.
there is maybe a couple of more things before we go forward. So, because we're talking about what might go wrong, so certainly we should, as leaders, create this kind of environment again for the people to take part in the training and then challenge them how they can use this in the organization. This is one part, certainly. So, we can start with building the change agents in the organization, and we can call them champions, whatever we call the guys, but bringing this together and being as a leader in a supportive function. But let's talk also about some other pitfalls or mistakes that might happen. I can give some of the examples when it comes to
Sure.
improvements. For instance, I've seen that we try so much to improve because it's so fancy, and we also want to have success in this angle, just what you said before, that we just start to improve.
Mm,
And we don't measure, don't look into what needs to be improved, but we start to improve things which are actually at the end, when you look from the perspective, and sometimes the people in operations don't have perspective, basically. And again, it's a leader role, so it's not their
mm,
fault at the end. And they start to improve nice to have things instead of the bottlenecks or the wastes. And then how it ends up is that we have actually the illusion of improvement. And I'm not
mm.
so sure if this is even not worse than, just as you said at the beginning, maybe it's just good as it is in certain areas.
Oh yeah.
Let's
But
not
it's
touch it.
easy
Let's
to
focus.
influence change there. Yeah. Let me
Mhm.
add to that, because there's one aspect where maybe those low hanging fruits or those nice to haves might have benefit in change,
Mhm.
or in improvement. If you want to prove that your method, if you're at the very start of this way of trying to incorporate continuous improvement, maybe you need a quick win. Maybe you simply need to uh, show either to your stakeholders or sponsors or your team or the champions that if we follow this, we might get a result. So I wouldn't discourage wholeheartedly those low hanging fruits or quick wins. There is a benefit to them, but I would say at the beginning of the road, if you're trying to incorporate continuous improvement, let's start with this. Let's not go deep. Let's start with something small. That would be my idea. Obviously, if when your process matures, then either you are out of those small incremental changes or irrelevant changes, and maybe then you need to tackle the important ones. But by that time, you'll have the experience and matured process to back you in your more advanced issues. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I would still insist on my point, honestly, because I don't disagree.
Mm,
I can say that we're on the same page. Just what I would put a bit more defined is that these low-hanging fruits should also be in the direction of real waste and real bottlenecks
yeah,
and not nice to haves, because when the team realizes that the effort spent there, even with a quick wins, can take some effort, then this actually doesn't have influence on the operations that might also become kind of demotivated, not understanding actually that, the, you understand it, I understand it, right?
mm,
We were there, but if the people do unconsciously an improvement which has no influence on the organization,
right.
right? At certain point they will realize this, and this might say, yeah, but anyway we do improvements, it has no influence,
Oh
so
yeah,
it must
no,
be
no.
negative.
This is a very valid point. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and in the back of my head, I was thinking, yeah, something towards good, maybe not the biggest one,
Yeah,
right?
okay, that's obviously we
Let's
shouldn't
start
start with
small,
the
right?
biggest ones. Absolutely, yeah, I'm on the same page with you.
Yeah.
Now,
And there's another thing because I will forget about it. And there's
yeah,
another thing you said like 15 minutes ago that I wanted to touch upon because you at some point you said something about so how do we deal with the change? So we have a status as it is right now,
mhm,
and we have a status of whatever we want to change as we envision it, and
yeah,
then we plan out the route in between. This is
yeah,
basically what you said, right? But I mean that's and I say it with best intentions. That's very mm,
simplified
that's very
version,
simplified, meaning
absolutely.
that it will simply not work for complex systems, and most of what we do would be complex systems. That's something I wanted to ask you. What how would you
Yeah,
deal
that's
with a
very good
complex
point.
system?
Absolutely good point. When we talk about complex systems, we will need to take into the whole agility topic with Dave Snowden and his Cinefin
Oh yeah, I love the guy.
and all of those. And then obviously, if you have ambiguous environment, complex systems, not chaotic or complicated, but complex systems, then of course, agile is an answer. It means iterations. It means we know what is the North Star, but on the way we really much adjust because
Yeah.
we challenge, we have iterations, and there is a whole process around this. Absolutely, yes. But that was obviously simplification, because even if you say this is where we are, this is the gap which is not really identified, we don't know what's in this box, but we know where we want to go, we know the North Star. So
Mm,
we can also in a complex world go step by step. What I didn't say that you need to identify all the steps waterfall on the way to the goal. I just say you need to address the gap.
correct. All
If
right.
it's
So
very well
yeah,
known waterfall, whatever methodology you want to go with. Now we're going a bit into tools and methodologies. I would not
yeah.
like to
No,
go
no,
there.
but I think it's important, and let me reiterate, it's very important. You know, because
Mhm. I
from
agree.
my experience, you very rarely know. Yeah, you. That's a good phrasing you use. You know a North Star. So yeah, that's the basic basic direction I want to go. So what you need to do then is out of all the options that you have on your table, pick one that will bring you closest to the North Star within the constraints of your budgets
Right.
and availability and whatnot, and pray that it brings you any closer. And once you do, you need to look at what you achieved in with this change,
Right.
and then okay, so we did this, we're this bit closer, and this is what we did right, this is what we did wrong. So all right, let's take another step. So this is what you mean by this iterative process, right? You make the best judgment with the lacking information that you have, because you never have enough information.
Yeah.
You make a best call, you stand by it, and then you check whether it brought you closer, and then you do it again, and then you do it again, and then you do it again. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly,
Cool.
you're right. Very good. You brought it, Marek. There's another perspective, a bit more detail into how to then tackle in complex environment versus standardized environment. But there is one more or two even more things to close the topic of what might what might make improvement not a success.
Mm.
Because we said certainly if you address wrong things, so you're addressing not the real things which need to be improved, but you're just addressing nice to haves, not being aware about it.
Yeah.
uh, Another point might be, that what I've also seen, that you have either an external or you have internal department, but external to the people that do operations, that this department tries to improve because the role is improvement. And how it ends up is like with external consultant, you have a team, and then someone comes from outside saying, hey you guys, I measured this, you need to improve here. And then obviously you can't have any commitment or engagement because someone from outside is coming and saying you what to do, because this person has his own goals of, yeah, I need this team to improve here and there to get a bonus or whatever that is.
Yeah.
This setup by definition is wrong, and I've seen it also. And then no wonder there are no results, because this should come from the team, and maybe
Mm.
the externals can support on the wish of the team. And this is happening. It's very similar to the strategy departments or other
All
departments that
right.
are next to the whole organization and telling everyone what to do.
Oh yeah,
So
I get what you're saying. Yeah, and there is a lot of truth in that, but there is value to external perspective. It's not just that those guys are simply milking us to get their bonuses or their contract fulfilled. It's not just that. You need to be careful, obviously, not to fall in heads first into whatever such organization or such vendor or such department are promising to you.
right.
You need to be slightly critical, maybe take it with a pinch of salt, but listen, you need to assume that they're doing it with the best intentions.
No doubt about this, obviously, and they are
Mm.
professionals. What I'm saying is, if we go this direction, it needs to be properly set up from beginning,
Oh, sure.
not
Yeah.
top down, that external or some other team comes and tells what to do.
Oh,
Yeah,
you are absolutely right.
this
Yeah.
doesn't build trust, engagement, and stuff. What we just said at the beginning.
No, no, and I'm pretty sure that everyone that's listening had such experiences. Someone went to get a training of whatever it was. It doesn't need to be
Right.
improvement, but any training, right? So now you're proficient at doing this. Um, Not really. I just spent, two days in the classroom, and coffee was good. But other than that, yeah, no, not really. So empowerment, the ownership, right? I'm not
Yeah, I
going
think
to.
that I think the clue here, sorry to interrupt, just to end this part of the topic, is that the important thing is to make the team want to do the change
Oh
and
yeah.
improvement, and not the leader. And I think this is the biggest takeaway. And it
Mm,
cannot be done top down, where the leader comes after the training saying, hey, we go lean, this is too
yeah.
much, this is not necessary, this is a buzzword, this will not be successful this way. But
Mm,
then let's go a bit into the continuous word, because we said about improvements quite a lot and
oh
how to take
sure.
it. But how do we make it continuous? Or then culture build like a DNA in the organization?
Yeah. Well, I would rephrase this question. It's not about continuity. Maybe it's not a goal in itself. I would phrase it like this: how do we make the improvement worthwhile for everybody in the organization? Because making it continuous just means that you put 20 meetings in the calendar for the whole year, right?
Interesting what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Really, you think so?
Um, that
Okay.
yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, if you focus on, all right, we need to make it continuous, which means it just put it in calendar and then everybody wastes an hour. No, how do we make a change worth everyone's while? Meaning that how do we make this process so that everyone understands short term and long term benefits? And bloody hell, I have no answers to that, but definitely this is something to keep in mind. There is no universal answer to this, but definitely, all right. If you really want to go by this creed of we need to improve, because there's always stuff to improve, and we need to continue along this path. This means that if you want to have, okay, that's another saying I love. How do you eat an elephant? You know this one?
In the pieces, no?
Exactly, piece by piece.
Did I win something now?
Yeah,
What is?
no. Well, you will get a handshake when we meet.
Thank you. That's appreciated.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, so you start with the first iteration of your improvement, and then okay, it brings some benefits, but then you need to work equally as hard on the second step, because it also needs to bring benefit. You never can let go of the process, because every process that you let go of, and you don't have a proper ownership, and you don't have a proper management and everything that you should have, then it would degenerate, right? If it's not, and it should, if it's not meaningful, if it's not beneficial, then it should, which means that you need to put someone in the position to think about it and generate new
Okay.
ideas. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm trying to digest what you're just saying,
Piece by
because
piece.
the elephant, piece by piece,
Yeah.
absolutely there. What I was in the past, and I think I somehow address these needs now is, you know, all this continuous improvement and culture, big words, quite terrifying. But if you look at it very pragmatically and to the
Mm,
ground, we're actually talking about how to build this whole construct into the system so it's part of the organization on a daily basis. Like when we mentioned that Lean even says that 80% of your job should be doing your job, and then the rest 20 should be improving your job. And
mm,
it should be built in. And I took it from that perspective. And pragmatically, for me, there are actually two things. If we talk about operations and performance, certainly you have KPIs, you have some measures, metrics in every business. If it's sales, if it's IT and you do services, if you produce, doesn't matter. So you have certain KPIs you should be fulfilling. So then it means we're talking about performance. If we're talking about performance, how to build it in. So what can happen is, and this depends on the also construct of the team and the needs of the team and the service or the product.
mm.
We might basically be checking the KPIs on a daily, weekly, bi-weekly basis, creating some kind of board with those KPIs where we can check it either online or physical board if possible, and then looking at the KPIs, looking which are not really there, and directly having into this the Kaizen. So if something doesn't
Mm.
work, you directly point it and address it, of course, with all the respect, not judging, not all of
Sure.
this, trying to resolve it with the team. You try to find if you can identify a situation directly in the meeting or not. If not, you bring this already. I'm talking about mechanics, but try to picture this, how this might
Hmm.
work. And then
Yeah.
on an operation basis with performance, you already have the mechanism of continually talking about what we can do better, because all of us sometimes fail KPIs. If you don't fail KPIs sometimes, it means it's a watermelon thing, like, if you know what I mean, green from outside, red inside. It happens also. So sometimes you basically are not able to deliver, but then you take the lessons learned directly when it happens.
Yeah, that's a
It is
very,
not so
very good point.
complex, in that use. So this
Yeah.
is on the performance level, operations level. What do you think about this?
No, it's a very, very good point, because it brings another angle to this topic, and again something that needs to be said very clearly, because the situation that you described, you either, okay, so you have performance metrics that are in the red, so you have two ways to go there. One is apply Kaizen, whatever, apply any methodology to try to improve, but this it takes effort, right? It takes your team's time. The other alternative is, all right, let's not do 80-20%, like you just said. How about we do 90-10? And then you'll bring the KPIs up a little. Obviously, this is not the right approach, but it's very, I mean, I would assume there's a big incentive on such behavior in most of the organizations. Right. So which brings us, because we started bottom up when it comes to improvement, then we move to a leader's position who needs to. It's a beautiful construct that you are building here, and it's so elegant. Listen to me. So we started.
Don't demystify now. Don't do that now.
No. I wasn't. Okay, maybe it was your idea, and I have a revelation right now. I have an epiphany, because we started bottom up. That we need to have an engaged team. We need a leader that will allow this to happen.
Exactly.
Right? Mm-hmm. And you need to have wise management on top of everything that will not pursue the KPI at all costs in short term. Mind blown. Amazing.
Very bright.
I wasn't expecting that. It's not in my notes. Wow.
But can I add one small piece on top of it?
No, sure.
Because you very nicely summarized now that, of course, we create environment, we create champions, we work with the team, we have supportive function, exactly, fully agree. Then we bring this KPIs thing, not too pushy, so that we also have this under control. So actually we manage our bosses then and stuff. Topic. But then there is one more thing, because this is performance level. But I also identified by my experience that also we drive a lot of initiatives which are on a tactical and strategic level, right? So obviously the best scenario is that the teams come with, we should improve it, and it's in our interest to improve it also on a tactical level. So the leader then needs to basically enable the team to see it with various ways. But then also what I believe makes sense is have on one side what we said, the performance KPIs, and make it bright way, maybe 90-10 and stuff. But then we also have this tactical strategic things, which are usually what is happening are given from top, like you should do this and that. So what we should be trying to do is, even if we get it from top, to make the team come to this idea. That's first point. So to get actually the understanding why we're doing it, and connect it to the best vision, mission of our organization, big words again. But then pragmatically in the organization, I would say we can frame them in the objective key results form, quarterly basis driven. So we have these initiatives to improve our organization on a higher level with engagement of our guys, but we jointly create objective key results with the team, which are tracked on a quarterly basis, let's say. Those are those bigger improvements. How about this?
Yes.
Done.
Done. We're done. No, you're absolutely right. I'm not sure if we touch upon it enough. A change is not a change unless you measure it. Right? You need to assess what you did. You need to see whether you're closer to your North Star or further. Because it might happen, and it happened to me a lot, that with best intentions, with careful planning, I tried, my team tried to implement a change, and we took a step back, right, in our process. It happens, right? But you need to be aware of this, and without proper testing and proper measuring, you might not be aware that you are actually moving in the wrong direction. So yeah,
I would say everything starts with the measuring. The idea is that then you have it somehow structured. So you can then say, if this works for a certain time, you can say, yeah, we do performance with the teams assessments, and we try to improve performance. It's built in our operations, right? And then we also have these big initiatives. We track them through the objective key results method or way of working, and we also have this under control with engagement of the teams. But there is one more aspect I want to bring. Actually, we already made here. We quite long on the live, but one last aspect I'd like to bring here, and I also gain your opinion, because we also have a great examples of organizations that went through the journey, and they can say that they have the culture of continuous improvement. Like all of us know the example of Toyota, right?
Oh, yeah.
Toyota production, Toyota Kata, and then out of this landed in IT and other industries, the way to
Sure.
make it happen. But if we look at Toyota and we look at different car makers,
Mm.
they're not on the same level. And what Toyota introduced is available to everyone. You can
Yeah.
read about it, you can buy books, you can go and do it. So the last aspects here, why is that some companies, we all have access to the same knowledge, to the same books. There's no cost of entry into the knowledge here.
Mm.
So why is that some companies make it and some are still in a struggle and promise that they will get better quality, they will be better, but it's
Right.
not happening? What is your opinion about this?
Yeah, there are two aspects to it that I wanted to approach. Well, first one is a little bit maybe disheartening to us, because there is a piece, the way I understand Japanese culture, there is a strong element of improvement, of excellence in their culture, for earlier in their religion, that really elevates those aspects that play into continuous improvement. They're. I don't want to sound like an expert, so let's just, because I'm not. So let's just say that there are certain aspects to their culture that play for having this continuous improvement mindset, and this is unfortunate for us, because maybe we don't. Maybe Western civilization values something else. It's such a big topic that maybe it might take another episode of this podcast to digest it fully. But there definitely is something for it. I see it only instinctively, but I think there is something to it. The other thing I want to say is, do you remember Toyota 15 years ago? They fell off this horse, and they fell off hard, because for some time their cars were crap, and even though they were Toyota.
Do you recall what happened with the CEO of Toyota? Like how he was at the end making an official sorry statement
Yeah.
on the knees and stuff. The same what like when I get there with the culture, like the prime minister made a mistake there, and he basically also on the knees said sorry to the whole
Yeah.
society for what has happened. There is actually something in what you're saying. So culture-wise, maybe that's
Mm.
related to this, because they have this strong feeling about the mission,
Right.
right, in all what they're doing, and this holistic view, and this is represented in a culture in many dimensions. So
Yeah.
maybe that is the silver bullet. So
Nah.
silver
Yeah.
bullet would be if the leaders and the organizations take the mission and vision of their own organization seriously, and they
Mhm.
believe in it, not because of bonus or not because of some extra vertic motivators,
Mm.
then maybe it will be different. The question is how much the leaders believe in the change improvements and all of this around.
Yeah. Well, I think it's personal, but that's a very idealistic view that you're presenting right now, and I wish I lived in this world. Uh, oh well. I don't know. I tell it all the time. You need to start with yourself. right? In our one of our previous conversations, I gave you this example. Yeah, I really enjoy the improvement, and when I'm packing my dishwasher, I will think actively think, okay, can I do it better? Can I align those plates better so that I get better results? Um, it's border OCD maybe, but it's this mindset, right? No, but if you think about it like this, I mean, it opens so many doors you know to a great internal conversations. Oh Jesus, this is a good one. Can I enforce continuous improvement on my wife? Because
Well, no,
I'm
we're coming to an end of the life now. Now we're going not very far. I would say our bosses might also be watching this, so I would not give those examples here. But yeah, you in this context, very big fan of continuous improvement. From what you're saying, I just hope that you don't push your guys in the company, when putting dishwasher to think also about it.
yeah.
So but Marek, great talk today again, I would
Oh yeah,
say. A lot of
it's
topics
been a great
covered.
pleasure.
We covered a lot of topics from the improvement through continuity of the improvement and the culture and how to build this and how it starts with the team engagement and then how to make it a system way in the organization. A
Yeah.
lot of topics, maybe not in such a structured way as in the books you might find somewhere, but at the end, I think a great experience we shared here. So thank you, Marek, for today.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, yeah, maybe not structured, but this is how the conversation flows. You jump from
Yeah,
idea to idea, and I find great benefit to it because honestly, I learned something in this conversation. We just simply rephrased what we already knew, but it was of benefit to me. So thank you, Bart. It's been a pleasure.
thank you, Marek. All the best. Let's catch up later. Take care. Thank you guys for watching us. See you in 2 weeks' time on Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central European time for the next episode. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.